All right, so this is just a real quick update on the 4.1 homework. Not really update, just to make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you start the homework. And so you should have already done this worksheet here, and you should just be here to check your answers. So if you haven't done this worksheet already, then hop off, go do it, and then come back when you have it. Okay. So first up, it says verify that all the requirements for a probability distribution are met. So reminder of what I am looking for. I want to know that the sum of all the probabilities is equal to 1. I'm looking for each individual probability to be between 0 and 1, and I want no preferences. So it's random discrete variable, but what that means is, in short, was no preferences, all equally likely. Okay, so I look at these numbers. I have no reason to think that they're anything other than equally likely, so I add them up. It equals 1, so the answer is yes. I don't see anything that's negative or 1, so the answer is yes. Okay, number 2, again, they're all equally likely, so I don't know which is, or I don't have any reason to believe that they're not. There's no negatives, so there's nothing that equals 0. I mean, there's nothing that's greater than 1 is what I meant. But when I add them all up, I get 70, 80. I get 0.0 or 0.85, so the answer is no, because that does not equal 1. Number 3, verify that its probability distribution is met. Right away, I see this big long P word that is not allowed. And so the answer is no, we cannot have preferences. And so we don't know what we're preferring. It could be, what's your political affiliation? Do you lean left, do you lean right, or do you have no preference? So that's definitely a no-no. It could be like, what foot do you use to kick a soccer ball? Well, there's no equally likely probability that someone is left-footed or right-footed or no preference-footed. So nope, not equally likely. So it doesn't really matter what specifically they're talking about. The fact that we have that preference in there, we know that this is not allowed. Okay, next up, we're going to answer A through C. So this is very similar to a problem in the last video, but it says, what is the probability that X is 2, 5, or 6? So I'm going to add up those probabilities. I want to know the probability of 2 plus the probability of 5 plus the probability of 6. So I'm just going to put those 3 numbers from the chart in my calculator and get 0.437. Next up, we want the probability that X is less than 5. So here's my cutoff. I'm going to add all of those. And so you should have already added it, and you would have gotten 0.636. Fabulous. What is, oh, lost my chart. What is the probability that X is at least 5? Now this one is a little, I'm doing a different color so we can separate our chart. We haven't talked about at least, but if I say you have to be 5 years old to go on this roller coaster, who can go on the roller coaster? At least 5. Well, 5-year-olds can go on the roller coaster, and anyone older than a 5-year-old can go on the roller coaster, because you have to be at least 5 to go on it. So this is 5 is greater than or equal to, or X is greater than or equal to 5. So for this red one, for part C, we're going to add up all of those bottom, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and we get 0.364. And just for fun, if we add those up, they equal 1, which is perfect because that's the whole chart. Okay, hopefully that first page was very easy for you. The second page, you might have had a little more problems, but that's okay. We can go through those together. So here we have a game. We have this expected payout, which, like we said before, is expected value. And so I can just add multiply and add. Multiply and then add 1,400, add 180,000, multiply, lots of zeros, and add all those together. Now, technically, this isn't currently a probability distribution, a discrete probability distribution, because it doesn't add up to 1 on P of X. Therefore, you can't do it on your calculator. If you want to do it on your calculator, you need to find the missing amount, which would be nothing, because we don't want it to affect our addition. But we know we win in these 3 situations. We get money. So the other situation, we get nothing. And it even says assume, right here, assume that the remaining probability has a payout of 0 so that the probabilities add up to 1. So what we could do, if you really wanted to use your calculator, because this one isn't too terribly big, so I probably wouldn't even care, but in case you do, I'm going to add all of my probabilities up, which got me a small number, 0.1292. So I added all of these up, and I'm going to do 1 minus that number. So this number here, I'm going to run out of room, probability of 0 would be 0.8708. So then I would have to type that number into my table as well if I want to use a calculator. Otherwise, you can just multiply and add these 3 things, and we get $79 because it says to round to the nearest dollar. I swear I just highlighted that. There we go, nearest dollar. Okay, try this again. So we can just multiply and add. I'm not even going to spend the time on the table this time. I'm just going to multiply each of these. The X times the probability of X. Ooh, 145,000. I'll take that. And then I add all of the multiplication together, rounding it to the nearest dollar. I get $230. So if you didn't get $230, pause it, check your multiplication and see what you did. Okay, last 2. This says it represents a probability density function. Find the standard deviation. So I can definitely use my calculator here because those probabilities, 1/5 plus 2/5 plus 2/5 does add up to 1, so that's perfect. I'm going to clear out my table because of the last video we had problems where I used the table. So I have 3, 4, and 8, and I have 1/5, 2/5, 2/5, oops, 2 divided by 5, and I get my decimals, that's fine. So now I go to stat, 1 variable stats. My frequency table is already set up from last time. So remember, this is your L1, this is your L2. And I totally messed it up. I'm going to do that again. And I want to go down to on my calculator, it's the 4th option, and it is the standard deviation. It says the standard deviation of X. You don't really need that X, but we need that sigma, and it's going to be 2.15 because it tells me 2 decimal places right there. All right, one last one with standard deviation. Similar table. So you type that into your table. This is your L1. This is your L2. So since you're just here to check the answers and we just did one of these, I'm going to put up the answer to 2 decimal places. This is 2.58. If you did not get that, double check your table. Double check that you're pushing the buttons correctly. If you don't have a calculator that can do this, I'm sorry, go find one. Or the long answer would be do it by hand using that formula discussed in the last video. I think getting a new one's probably the best choice at this point, but it's whatever works best for you. So you decide. All right, that is it. Email me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.